Skill number 4. Learning faster without becoming a flashcard goblin. Subtitle: How smart people learn without trying, and why you should stop highlighting like a psychopath. You don't have a learning problem. You have a trying too hard problem. Let's be brutally honest. You're not dumb. You're not lazy. And no, your brain isn't bad at focusing. You just learned how to learn from teachers who thought memorizing stuff for a test you'll forget in 2 days was the peak of human achievement. So what do? You highlight half the page. You reread the same paragraph like it's gonna magically tattoo itself into your soul. You watch a YouTube summary of a book and pretend that counts as wisdom. And you wonder why nothing sticks. Here's the plot twist. Smart learners don't memorize. They don't even understand everything. They just activate the right brain circuits at the right time. Learning is not downloading. It's wiring. And wiring doesn't happen when you're trying to look smart. It happens when you make your brain do something slightly stupid and slightly real. Welcome to Skill 4, Learning Like a Lazy Genius, where we stop cramming and start hacking the factory settings of your brain. Let's go. Tip 1. Don't learn to understand. Learn to trigger. Here's a hot take. Understanding is overrated. You don't need to get it the first time. You need to train your brain to recognize the signal and fire the right response. That's what smart people do. They don't say, "Let me read this entire chapter until I feel wise." They say, "What's the trigger? And what action should follow?" You're not studying philosophy. You're training a dog, and the dog is your brain. Example: instead of rereading a formula 9 times, write one example that uses it. Say it out loud like you're explaining to a confused chicken. Set an alarm and recall it in 3 hours. That's learning. It's pattern recognition plus small action, not passive vibes and coffee. So stop trying to get it all. Instead, build tiny switches and let your brain start flipping them automatically. Tip 2. If you're not teaching it, you're not learning it. You ever feel like you totally understand something until someone asks you to explain it? Well, it's kinda like, the mitochondria does the thing, and boom, exposed. Here's why. Your brain doesn't own knowledge until it has to use it. That's why the best way to learn isn't reading. It's teaching. No, you don't need a classroom. You need a wall, a pet, a confused friend, or just your own echo. Take what you just learned and say it out loud like you're explaining it to a tired 7-year-old. Use dumb metaphors. Draw it in stick figures. Act it out with spaghetti if you must. Because until your brain has to package the info, it's just loose puzzle pieces floating around. The act of teaching forces clarity, compression, confidence, and suddenly, you remember it because you used it. So next time you learn something, explain it to your houseplant. If it starts growing faster, you're doing it right. Tip 3. Spacing out is not laziness. It's learning's secret backup system. You know that feeling when you read something, understand it perfectly, and then, poof, it's gone in 24 hours? That's because your brain doesn't lock in info when you study. It locks it in while you're walking to the fridge, singing in the shower, or arguing with your cat. Welcome to the magic of spaced repetition, the most disrespectfully effective learning hack that feels like you're doing nothing. Here's the trick. Don't study once for 3 hours. Study 5 times for 15 minutes with breaks in between. That break, it's when your brain is like, "Wait, what was that thing again?" And then it rebuilds the memory, stronger. Forgetting isn't failure. It's part of the recipe. If you don't space out your learning, you're basically microwaving a cake and wondering why it's rubber. So go ahead, study, then walk away like a boss, and let your neurons marinate in peace. Tip 4. Your brain learns better when you trick it into doing things, not remembering things. Here's a learning crime most people commit. They try to remember stuff, like their brain is a vault. But brains aren't vaults. They're muscles. If you want your brain to keep info, you have to make it lift it, over and over, in weird ways. The best way? Use active recall. Forget highlighting. Forget passive rereading. Forget staring at notes while crying into your cereal. Instead, close the book. Ask yourself, what the heck did I just learn? Try to write or say it from memory. Mess it up. Check it. Do it again. Yes, you'll feel dumb. Yes, you'll forget half of it. That's the point. Because struggling to remember equals building memory strength. It's not about being perfect. It's about forcing your brain to sweat. Every time it lifts the memory, it wires in deeper. So if you're not struggling while learning, you're not learning. You're just rehearsing your own forgetfulness. Tip 5. You'll learn faster when you stop trying to be smart. You ever notice that the people who learn the fastest ask the dumbest questions? Wait, what does this word mean? Hold on, I don't get this part. Can you explain it like I'm a potato? And guess what? Those people are secretly geniuses. Because while you're sitting there pretending to understand, they're out here firing questions like a toddler on espresso, and actually learning 10x more. Here's why. When you stop performing smartness, your brain finally relaxes. It stops faking it, and it starts grabbing real, useful info like a raccoon stealing chicken nuggets. So go full idiot mode. Ask the dumb question. Admit when you're confused. Laugh at how bad you are at something new. Because when you stop trying to look smart, you give your brain permission to be smart. And that's where real learning begins. Skull and Crossbones Tip 6. You don't have an attention problem. You have a "this room is a circus" problem. You ever sit down to study and suddenly your entire body decides, "Now is the perfect time to clean my keyboard. I should Google how deep the ocean is. Did I ever reply to that comment from 2019? And then boom, it's 2 hours later and you've accomplished nothing except becoming an expert on blue whales. Newsflash, your attention span isn't broken. It's just being attacked on all sides by a swarm of invisible dopamine mosquitoes. Modern environments are engineered distractions. Notifications, tabs, DMs, background noise. That weird buzzing sound you swear you're not imagining. Your brain's not designed for this circus. So if you want to learn faster, you don't fix your brain. You fix the damn room. Try this. Turn your phone on airplane mode. Clear your desk like you're prepping for surgery. Put on noise-canceling headphones and threaten your roommates with interpretive dance if they interrupt. Create a cave. Then, your brain will finally do what it's been trying to do all along. Focus. Because the problem isn't your attention. It's your environment treating it like a peanut. Tip 7. Learning should feel like falling down a curiosity hole, not climbing a guilt ladder. Let me guess. You start learning something new and your brain says, "We should be productive. This has to be useful. Don't waste time on stuff that doesn't help your career." And suddenly, everything feels like homework, even stuff you like. Here's the truth. You don't learn faster by trying harder. You learn faster by following curiosity like it owes you money. Curiosity turns your brain into a sponge. Guilt turns it into a brick. So when you feel that spark, I wonder why that works. Chase it. Obsess over it. Go full weirdo. Google rabbit holes. Yes. Weird analogies? Absolutely. TED Talks at 1.5x speed while pacing in your underwear? Go off, professor. Because the more curiosity you allow, the more info your brain wants to absorb. This isn't about discipline. It's about building a mental slip and slide your brain actually enjoys using. So next time you feel curious, let it take over. That's your brain saying, "Yo, this matters. Let me eat." Tip 8. Multitasking turns your brain into a laggy laptop from 2007. Let's destroy a myth real quick. I study while watching Netflix and scrolling TikTok because I'm a multitasker. No, you're not. You're just task switching at light speed and giving your brain whiplash. Multitasking isn't real. What's real? Cognitive bottlenecking. That's when your brain tries to read, listen, type, think, eat, and dodge emotional trauma all at once. And guess what happens? Nothing sticks. Nothing feels complete. And you leave every session mentally bloated and emotionally constipated. Here's the fix. One input, one output, one task. Studying? No phone, no TV, just you and the info. Taking notes? No music with lyrics. Your brain will sing along. Watching a course? Watch it. Don't cook pasta during it. Give your brain the grace of clarity. Because when you try to be everywhere at once, you end up nowhere. Tip 9. Studying more is a scam. Learn to quit faster. The old model of learning goes like this. Step 1. Pick something. Step 2. Commit. Step 3. Force yourself to understand it, even if your soul dies. Yeah, no, that's not learning. That's academic Stockholm Syndrome. The truth? If your brain isn't clicking with something after a few tries, quit faster. Find another door in. Smart learners don't bang their heads on locked doors. They walk around the building and climb in through a weird basement window. They watch a cartoon version. Find a teacher with jokes. Make it into a song. Teach it to a confused child. Turn it into a fight scene in their head. The goal isn't to force focus. The goal is to find the angle where your brain says, "OHHH. I get it now." If one approach makes you feel dumb and bored, drop it. Your brain deserves better. Because studying more isn't the answer. Studying smarter and quitting bad methods fast is the actual cheat code. Tip 10. Lazy people learn faster than perfectionists because they don't try to get it right. They try to get it done. Here's the unholy secret. Lazy learners win. Not because they're smarter, but because they move. Fast, dirty, imperfect. They're not trying to write the perfect notes. They're scribbling nonsense and moving on. They're not making an Anki deck with 500 color-coded flashcards. They're testing themselves with napkin doodles and memes. Meanwhile, the perfectionist is rewriting their notes for the third time, still figuring out the right method, watching their motivation bleed out slowly. Lazy learners skip the ceremony. They go straight to trying it. failing, fixing, repeating. And you know what happens? Their brains wire up like a freaking spiderweb on Red Bull. They learn faster because they give their brain reps, not rituals. So stop trying to study right. Start messing up more. On purpose. With joy. Because perfectionism is a traffic jam. Lazy curiosity is a jetpack. Final thoughts. Your brain learns like a gremlin, not a monk. Your brain is not a temple. It's not a library. It's a gremlin in a hoodie with 3 tabs open and a spoonful of peanut butter. And that's fine. You don't need to study for 10 hours a day. You don't need to highlight everything like it's the Magna Carta. You don't need to understand before you start. You just need to trick your brain into doing. I'll let yourself fail. And stop acting like learning has to feel noble. The messier it is, the faster it sticks. So next time someone says, just focus more, laugh in their face, kindly. And then go learn faster than them using jokes, mistakes, spaghetti metaphors, and chaos. Because that's how smart, lazy people do it. Backhand index pointing right. Subscribe if your brain is chaotic but charming. Next up, skill number 5. What to do when you can't focus at all. 10 tricks that don't involve caffeine or shame. Let's keep making your brain weirder, faster, and somehow more lovable.